Yeah, hi everybody. This is Tom Barber back again. I'm really pleased to say on Radio Works World, back to speak with my wonderful friend Marina, who I always learn so much from. So it's great to be back, and I'm really looking forward to sort of picking up from what we were talking about on our last meeting, Marina, on Radio Works, and hopefully giving your viewers some more information and some ways to help them overcome any self-limiting beliefs, which is sort of where we got to last time when we were talking about intelligent self-help. Because, as I said last time, it's great to be able to offer so many people the self-help programs that we do, but so many of them don't believe that actually they can make a change for themselves anyway. So it's an area that we really we strive to help people overcome. And so I'm really pleased to be back with you today, and hopefully to give you lots more value. Over to you.
Wow, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Tom Barber speaking with us, and we have to be ready to write down a million things. Not necessarily in that order, but I think what is very important is you reaching out, and your teaching is opening these massive gates into a new territory. And to me, it's an adventure. It is an adventure of the mind. Each time I talk to you, I learn so much, and I feel that I'm getting better. So it's a great gift to have you here, and I'm very, very excited to learn more about how I can understand my own mind and not to be that much into two minds all the time. And I know our listeners face the same challenge of being in two minds, the one they've been taught to be and the one they could be. Over to you, Tom.
Yeah, this you just hit the nail so quickly on the head there, in terms of saying what they have been taught to be and what they truly are. And we in terms of sort of beliefs, so much of what we carry forward with us in the world are the beliefs of others and the ideas that have been given to us, and the majority of them are simply not ours. So what we really want to help people to do is to find out what they carry within themselves that's truly theirs, and to start to really build ideas and beliefs and awareness from within themselves that they decide that they want in their life, rather than what somebody else has told them, that they wanted them to be, or trying to fulfill unfulfilled goals through through children, or teachers that wanted to pass down things that they haven't accomplished and couldn't. So all of these ideas that we adopt, they come from so many different places. And one of the first things that's really important to do is to work out where they've come from, because when we've done that, then we can go about giving them back. Does that make sense, Marina?
Absolute sense, total sense for me.
Yeah. It's often a really a really enlightening process that people go through when they think about giving back these ideas and beliefs that aren't theirs to the people that they've came from. Something about NLP, Marina?
Yes, I got a certification actually.
Yeah.
I just use it for myself. It was my own way of being curious and understanding what is truly inside your mind.
Yeah. This is it, and one of the ways that NLP looks at this, for example, is through its language patterns and the kind of things that we end up finding ourselves saying and not really knowing why. I'm sure sort of a lot of your listeners have at some point found themselves sort of opening their mouth and their mother coming out or their father coming out, and it's like,
yes, I love that.
And I've done it myself, and I'm stopped in my tracks and thinking, wow, where did that come from? Well, when you've heard something so many times, eventually you soak it up. And in NLP, they call this the loss performative. So basically, you hear a message being passed down to you, well, you can't do that, and you're no good, and you'll never amount to anything. And we hear it so many times that we start to then integrate it, and we start to say it to ourselves, and we hear our own voice saying it. And then it becomes our own belief because we're telling ourselves constantly. And the person that it actually came from gets lost. Therefore, the lost performative, the performer of the original belief, gets lost, and we don't even remember where it came from half the time. So, our job is really to help people find who that is. And there's a process I want to take your viewers through today, which I think, I hope would really help them. It's a very quick one, and it's something that we do with the people we meet to find out who that is, and then, make the decision as to what to do next. Is that, yeah?
Yes,
Yeah.
very good. I'm writing down. Don't disturb me. Yes, brilliant.
Good. In a sense, human beings, we really have an inbuilt sort of desire to make meaning of the things that we do and what's happening around us. And it's, it goes really back to making sense of our existence. I've just come to the end of my existential doctorate, and I know something about sort of existence and what things people struggle with. And one of the biggest things is trying to make meaning of what's happening around us and what we think about that. And a lot of the time we're just shooting in the dark. So we do that, and we make the same meaning a few times about things that happen to us, or, on occasions, if it's a very traumatic event, which we make meaning of that just in that one occasion. And if we don't get any conflicting information to compare that meaning to, so if no one is telling us anything different, then that meaning turns into a belief. And as you well know, the younger the person is, the less information they generally have, and therefore the more likely that belief can be just adopted and very most often is incorrect. So it's a complex process, but it really starts out of our real human desire to make meaning of things. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's where it all starts. In a sense, the meaning is important, and the beliefs that sort of are concreted in that, they're how we live our lives. And this is such an important thing, because what we believe about ourselves, it ultimately creates the reality we experience.
So you are saying what I read long ago, and I think was a quote from Buddha, I think. I'm not quite sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but he said that the mind is everything.
Yeah.
And you think, what you think, you basically become.
Yeah.
So when everything happens there, in a place where it's so sacred and nobody got access by yourself, you start thinking, well, no one can save me from myself. No one will ever be able unless I allow them. And it is me to choose the path I want to choose. Am I correct?
Yeah, this is it's a fantastic saying for sure, and it's a great way to live and a great way to propel yourself forward in the world. Unfortunately, what is bubbling underneath that often are a set of beliefs that kind of pull you back and hold you down. And it's like, you're trying to achieve and you feel like you're being pulled back by these set of ideas that fundamentally inside somewhere that they're not yours. So it's great to be aware that you're the master of your own destiny, as they say. But there really is a need to clear what's there, so that you really are living your own message. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. This is
It's powerful stuff, isn't it?
yes, very profound.
You know, if I go back to what we were talking about on our last Radio Works interview, we were talking about, if you remember, the connection between emotions and feelings and beliefs.
Yes.
And this is really how we find beliefs have such a powerful impact on us, because they're very much linked to what we feel emotionally. If you remember, I was saying that, you know, when we experience emotions, they're at a very physiological, visceral place within us, very deeply, and we kind of we don't have an awareness instantly of an emotional reaction inside us. But what happens then is that those emotions, they start to bubble up within us, and then we feel something physiologically and emotionally, and we then start to become aware of what that's connected to. So really, in a way, feelings express an emotional reaction to the beliefs within us. It's you'll really find this so often in the language that people use. For example, you know, you'll hear people say sort of, "I feel inadequate," but you can't feel inadequate. And I feel inadequate doesn't mean I am inadequate, but that's what people equate it to. You know, they say I feel something, and they kind of use that as an overriding description of who they are as a person. But
Wow.
no, what you feel it's not what you are. It's a reaction to, you know, the emotional, visceral, physiological experience related also to beliefs, and they kind of feed each other, you know.
Hmm. I wanted to ask you, Tom, you know, lately you hear a lot the word awakening, and within the entrepreneurs world, it's a lot of spiritual development going alongside this transactional world we all live in. And what is your take on this massive transformation that happens at a very individual, private level with each one of us? This awakening, what is this going to lead?
It's such a fascinating area. It's really interesting because I was watching something on the internet earlier, and it was a presentation by a woman called Shah Wismond. Have you heard of Shah?
Oh, yes, 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 I
Yeah,
did.
she's a fascinating speaker, and she really is such an interesting person. But you know what she really puts forth out there is the awakening into an authentic place of being, and really living true to who you are on your journey. And you know that this journey of entrepreneurship and you know the path that we find ourselves on, what what's what's fundamentally a huge aspect of succeeding in that path and that journey and that entrepreneurship is living authentically as you. You see, I mean, I'm sure you see this, Marina. So many people, and I know, I'm sure your viewers and listeners, so many people go out there and they try to emulate other successful people, which is good in itself because you can model successful behaviors, but you can never be somebody else. You can only be yourself. And I think what I see so many people stuck with is trying to force success in the from the eyes of another person, rather than allowing success to happen by becoming their authentic self. And I really think that this whole journey into awakening, it's going to lead to a very, very powerful shift in human consciousness in relation to success and entrepreneurship, because the more authentic somebody is, the nicer they are to be around. You know, when you've met someone that's very authentic and they've gone through an awakening to get to that place, but you want to be around them, right?
Yeah, I think because that's the proof is possible and could happen to you. You could make it happen to you. You just need the system they use. And coming back at what you said, this is very, very important. You said that some people try to mirror somebody else,
Yeah.
but then they will become a window eventually.
Yeah.
So mirroring is not enough. You are worth a lot more than that. So yes, you could use somebody's system, blueprint, formula, whatever they call it, but you have to fill in those gaps and put your own authentic self. So you can't hide behind somebody else's brand or personality, or say, for example, Richard Branson, I want to be like him and I want to dress like him. But you are not him, you are you. So as long as this real spiritual awakening holds true to your own values and emotions and actions and beliefs, I think what could emerge from, what emerges from you, it's so deep and so powerful. You could never understand how you could not see it. It's so obvious. So that person that is coming out, is not you anymore. It's the real you, is the one and only, and it's your voice, it's your message. It's almost like it's so much bigger than you thought you were. And this is when you become abundant. This is when the more you give, the more you have, because before you're thinking, oh my God, if I'm giving my ideas, or I'm sharing this, or I'm giving this away, or, so that's why, for example, you are giving all these lessons and the intelligent self-help school. It's a massive library of intelligence, and it's available, it's out there.
Yeah.
But you are not afraid of that. You are not thinking, oh, if I'm giving them all this content, what I'm going to be left with, because you already awaken yourself into your real spiritual self. And you realize your powers. You realize that the more you give, the more you have.
Yeah. Absolutely, Marina. And one of the things that I've certainly come to realize is that, this information, it's not mine. It was passed down through me. I'm going to pass it down to whoever needs it. And the only way that anyone really should become concerned and worried with the information they hold is if they're not growing. Because you see, when we put out programs in the world, they're designed to help people with our current knowledge and our current awareness, but our journey is one that we're fully committed to, of growth and development. And you know what, Marina, in a month's time, we'll be coming out with new stuff anyway. So, and if we're not, then I start to worry, So it's a constant growth and constant development. And it really, the authenticity and awakening is so vital to that. I've seen a lot lately. I've been to a few sort of seminars because I like to go along and I like to educate myself on all sorts of different things. I like to read all sorts of different kinds of books, because you can really if you get stuck too much in on one path, you'll miss things that are additional information coming from other areas. So I like to go on a lot of seminars, and I've seen this thing lately where all of the speakers are standing up and they are delivering in a very definite style and a definite method, which I've seen and which I know about. They don't look like themselves. They look like the person they learned how to speak from, and it just doesn't work. And I can honestly see a few people in the audience sort of, they just bow their head and groan because there's nothing authentic in it. They're not getting the person. So yeah, I mean, on one hand, we want to give our stuff out there as much as possible, because that's what we're here for. As I said to you on our last conversation, that's our dharma, that's our purpose in life. We know we've been put here to do that. We've been doing it for so long, and it hasn't gone away. So we know also that in a month's time things will be different. We'll be growing ourselves, and authenticity and being yourself is such a huge part of that. It really is.
Wow, Tom. I was thinking of what you said, and while this spiritual awakening is very powerful and is very inspiring to see that happening all around you, and eventually it's contagious and you'll feel that from inside coming out. It's always followed this transformational change, how other people are calling this, is followed by lots of doubts. Like you go to an event like this to get inspired, to understand how you can reach out to yourself, into your true self. And then you go home after 5 o'clock when the event ends, and you go home to your old life. And it's a very material reality, it's like hits you.
Yeah.
So you are going from the height of this spiritual awakening, who lasted for 5 hours, 10 hours, and you go home to a very doubtful material existence and reality. And you cannot eventually necessarily reach from one end to the other. And that gap, is where you could either bury your dreams alive for good and just go back to that reality, the only one you know, or go out and create your own reality and match your dreams and vision. And how do you think happened to me as well? And I was listening to Bill Clinton actually,
Yeah.
and what he said was so clear, like crystal clear, and it was so clear for him, but it wasn't clear for me.
Yeah.
So I had to. What I took from that moment is that it's possible. If he does it, it's possible. He's a human being. I'm a human being, and everybody. There were 7,000 people there, and everybody was mesmerized by what he said and inspired. But everybody was, for them to go along and learn from his mentors, or they have to remortgage their house or sell their soul. So somehow becomes unreachable, and people with common sense will think, forget about that. It's not for me. Because it's presented in a way that it's only for certain people. It's not for everyone. And actually, as Radio Works World, this is what we want to prove. It is for everyone. If I can do it, if I can reach a point in my life when I can see clearly, surely everybody else can see clearly. So it's all about inspiring and proving that it is possible. You have it all. It's just a choice to go for it or ditch it for good. You can't be into two minds. You can't be living with what you've been told and what we've been taught, and be a 9 to 5 machine, and be the awakened person who could bring so much into the world. So it's like life suddenly becomes this karmic coin. On one side is what is expected of you, the social status you achieve because you've been expected to achieve that status, and on the other side is the real you, and nobody cares. And it seems that if nobody cares, it's worthless.
Yeah.
So how do you bridge out the two extremes, because they are extremes?
They certainly are. It's great that you mentioned Bill Clinton, Marina, because I might have been at the same seminar, because I remember going and watching him speak, and you could have had a pin drop.
Yes.
It was just silence. Every word, people were hung up on every word. It was just incredible to watch him speak and how he commanded that interest. It was fascinating. But also, what was really interesting is at that very same seminar. I think it was in London. It was a huge seminar. There were thousands of people there, and they had another speaker who I remember came on stage and started to sort of talk about his subject, and it was like the polar opposite, because
I
what
remember.
he was sort of he was, I think it was a property thing or something like that, and people were sort of really, I think, really put off by it, because what he was doing was promoting what he does as opposed to what he believes in. And there's a big difference, isn't there?
It is a big difference, and this creates confusion.
Yeah, it
So,
does.
so is it a good thing to be confused? To me, it sounds like a good thing. But people try to avoid confusion. They want clarity. They want to have everything, set up, ready to go. No questions. No. But to me, confusion is a great experience, because eventually I'll get to answer my own questions, and I'll get to ask myself better questions instead of expecting other people to give me the answers.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, for me as a hypnotherapist, confusion is an absolutely incredibly powerful thing, because you see, it's only through confusion that you stop asking yourself the conscious questions and you go deeper into yourself, into the unconscious. And this is where you find actually that you have the answers already, that they're already in you, and you can stop listening to people selling you an idea which actually isn't yours. And I see this so often.
Love that. I absolutely love that.
I see this. Marina, I saw this wonderful quote, I must say to you, because this is perfectly fitting for what you're saying. It was from Alice in Wonderland. And in it, the quote goes, "You know what the issue is with this world? Everyone wants a magical solution to their problem, and everyone refuses to believe in magic."
Oh, this is so beautiful, it's so perfect, because I just replied to an email an hour ago to somebody telling me, I don't want to say who it is, or I don't want to disclose that because I don't have that liberty, but telling me to pray for them for a miracle. And I replied back and I said, you are the miracle.
Yeah.
And they replied back and said, oh, thank you. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So start believing in yourself. You are the miracle. So like Alice said, that's, say that quote again. I have to finish writing down. Sorry.
It was Alice in Wonderland.
Yes.
You know what the issue is with this world? Everyone wants a magical solution to their problem, and everyone refuses to believe in magic.
Oh, I love that.
This is so much how the world is nowadays, But that's a beautiful story you've just told, Dan. What it took me to immediately was the Paulo Coelho book, The Alchemist.
Yes.
What we're looking for is already inside.
Yes, I have the book on next to me right now.
Wow, how about that?
I just pick it up in my way. I thought, oh, yes.
This is a synchronicity, I believe this is called.
Yes.
So what the story you was telling about Bill Clinton, and people sort of, they go to the seminar, they go to a course and they learn something, and it moves them, and it really does truly move them in the time that they're there, and they think, yes, I'm going to take this. This is going to make all the difference. And then they get home, or they get back to work, or back in a relationship, and it's like they're back, and they lose it. But you see, there is a common denominator here, and that's that person is with themselves, both at the course or the seminar, and at work, and at home, and in relationship. They are the common denominator.
Yes.
And what this really highlights so well is that they're carrying a set of beliefs that they can momentarily and temporarily be challenged, and they can really feel a sense of relief in that. You go to a seminar and someone says that you can achieve whatever you want. It feels wonderful. But then when you go home, if you're still carrying the same set of beliefs, then the message starts to get lost. That's why it's so important to get to the beliefs that are underneath, that we're telling ourselves on a constant basis. And they tend to be really coming in three categories. So the first one is about identity, and these are the things we're telling ourselves that we believe about ourselves. So I am too young, I am too old, I am stupid, or the list is endless.
Instead of saying, I am awesome, I love my perfect imperfections.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I tell you what, I remember, it's just taking me back to when my kids were growing up. I have two daughters, as you know. And one of the things I really made a big point of doing was when I used to read them a story at bedtime. I used to love doing that. I really miss doing that. I always used to make sure that I said to them at the end of the evening, at the end of the night before they went to sleep, I said, "You're very beautiful and you're very loved."
Oh.
And I wanted them to know that before they drifted off to sleep, because I knew how powerful that was, and I knew that would sink down inside their mind and they would carry it with them. And I made a point of doing that, and I would say very powerful statements to them. Not like I'm taking them through a hypnosis session or anything, but kids, when they're young children, they soak up information just like a sponge. So these statements that we carry, it's really important we know what they are. We know what we're saying about ourselves and how we're defining ourselves,
Wow. So you see, Tom, this is so powerful stuff. You just said that making them aware that they are loved and beautiful is going to stay with them.
Well, just tell them, just tell them.
It's always to do with that validation that is missing in one's life. So, for example, I'm telling my children, they're adults now, and they feel embarrassed all the time. I talk to them every single time. Doesn't matter, it's a 2-word sentence, or we have a phrase, or we have an afternoon together, or we have dinner, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I always tell them, I love you. And I don't care they are embarrassed about it. I really don't. Because I know I have to tell them. I have to make them aware that somebody, no matter what, loves them.
Yeah.
But you see, I did not do this as a young parent.
Yeah.
I felt that there are big words, and I was afraid of big words.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I felt overwhelmed by the power of words, and I felt that certain words you could only say it once or feel it in your heart.
Yeah.
But the truth is that unless you communicate your message, who is going to know? You are going to take it with you, and you are going to bury it alive. So it comes down to what you said, that message, because my mom, for instance, never remember hugging me or kissing me. She'll come sneaking and kiss me while I was asleep. This is how she was.
Yeah.
So the message came down to me that way, but of course I will kiss my children, not only while they're asleep, but I learned that what I learned lately is that the message who comes down to you needs to be replaced by the message that comes out of you.
Yeah.
So it's a trade.
Yeah.
Sorry, I diverted your train of thoughts, but you're saying about putting your children to bed and telling them how beautiful they are and how loved they are, and that I think it's a major. Wow, that's so powerful.
Well, it's really interesting because as I said that, I haven't really sort of really talked about this before. So which is why it's so wonderful to have to have these opportunities with these interviews with you on Radio Works. I'm really appreciating the time to sort of talk about these things with you and your listeners. But whilst I was listening, And as I was saying it, it suddenly reminded me of something which I became aware of with my youngest daughter. Uh, and when I see her now, when she leaves, she says, "Dad, I love you." And if I don't answer her or acknowledge it, she's not happy.
Very good.
So I have to make a real, I must make sure that I respond and I acknowledge it, because the acknowledgement is so important, isn't it?
So you see, receiving
Yeah,
sometimes as a parent is very hard
for sure.
because you're designed to give, and
Yes,
you don't know how to receive. So receiving love from your children, I think it's wow. It's nothing more powerful than that. That's everything. So
yeah,
it's worth living.
yeah. It's such an important point, Marina, because um, we sometimes I think, and I see it a lot in a lot of other people too, are under the impression that the most empowering thing is to give to another. But what can be equally as empowering is that when someone is giving something to us, to accept it and to acknowledge it. And this really creates a kind of reciprocal appreciation of each other. And humans, one of the things that really, really moves us is human connection. Um, and so, yeah, acknowledging what people give, I think it's a really important thing to do.
So I think it's all, like you said, part of your identity,
Yeah.
being able to give as well as being able to receive and be grateful for what you receive.
Yeah, absolutely. We heard a lot in over the last few years about the power of gratitude. Yeah,
Yes.
and I think sometimes it's the power of it has got lost, because people I see are being grateful for the things around them or the people in their life, and it and I've heard some people say it's great and I'm doing it and I'm using this gratitude, but I'm not feeling any shift and I'm not feeling it. And that's because in a way it's not being absorbed or accepted by anybody. So in my perspective, the most powerful way of engaging with gratitude is to acknowledge other people and to absorb what they're giving you and to thank them for it, and to really say, to really be present and noticing other people and what they're giving. And
Wow.
it's
This is so I never heard this before, Tom. I thought about it, but I couldn't get my head around it.
I never said
So
it before.
grateful for this. You said engaging with gratitude, not just showing off gratitude
Yeah.
because it's fashionable.
Is
So
it? Yeah,
engaging.
exactly. And it has become fashionable. It's a great word, Marina. Fashion. It's really interesting how people with it will do fashionable things, but when you start talking about engaging with it truly, it becomes something different for them.
It's a commitment.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
And you see, we the thing is that we're human beings. We're not human doings.
Yes. Yes.
So you can do gratitude and you can put out these thoughts of goodness and all of that, but ultimately people respond to what you are, not what you do.
So it's like smiling. You can do the smile,
Yeah,
but it's different to be the smile.
yeah, absolutely.
So I
Yeah,
think comes from practicing and going deeper and deeper into that experience.
yeah,
So to me, gratitude is an experience because I feel something warm going through my whole mind and body and everything. It's so light and beautiful. So yesterday, no, the other day, we had a meeting and then my son did something for me which I didn't expect, and I felt like crying. I was so happy, I felt like, God, this kid is really, really so special. He's so thoughtful, and he's my child. And I brought this into the world.
yeah, yeah,
So I felt like, oh, so I don't know. I always wanted to bring into the world great children. I want to have 10 children, but
Yeah.
I only managed to stop at 3. So, but it is being grateful that you are given this once in a lifetime chance to feel it, to engage, to be committed to gratitude, to be the gratitude.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
I
a,
could never get my head around this, Tom. Thank you so much for this. Was bothering me actually, because all this show off about I'm grateful for this, be grateful for that, say what's this? They don't feel it.
yeah,
They
exactly.
just do it.
Yeah. And then in a sense, the bizarre thing is that people, they end up feeling ungrateful for showing gratitude.
Yes, because they get tired, of course. It's like a job.
And this is madness, isn't it? But you see, when you engage with something in the same way as when you engage with other human beings and you really are present, then this is what brings you alive. This is what feels different in a world where, doing and showing and showing and showing is all important. In a sense, it's starting to detract from engaging and being. This is why I wanted to put up the mindfulness chapter from our, when we spoke about on our last session on mindfulness. It's really a great way of getting people back being mindful and present. Oh, by the way, Marina, in saying that, I looked at the chapter and then I looked at the rest of the book on back pain, and I thought, well, you know what, this why am I bothering just to put one chapter up? So I've put the whole book up for free for your listeners.
Brilliant.
I put the whole book up for free for your listeners, and they
Thank you
can get
so
it.
much, Tom. Thank you.
Well, there's some really powerful things in it. I thought I don't want to hold this back. So there's ways that they can, not just with pain, but in so many different ways, processes that they can use to really help themselves get clear and present and their thoughts in the right place, and then they can concentrate on being present and engaging with life and gratitude and people and everything else. It's such an important thing to us. Sandra and I, it's what we're here for. It's so important to us.
So, Tom, I remember last time you said the story of how you realized that hope changes everything,
Yeah.
and how that literally changed your path.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, why are people afraid of sharing their story? Happens to me almost all the time. So I invite people to share the story because they'll get clarity and they'll inspire other people, and they will suddenly, listening back to the interview or the great conversation we had, they will realize how powerful they truly are and what they are made of.
Yeah.
Because it's as if you are listening to a third person, so we have the conversation, and then if you listen back to the audio, you realize, oh, that's me speaking, and you had no idea you know so much. So
Yeah.
so so I always invite people to share their dark moment, and some people will be ready and they will just share their pain, their grief, their whatever happened to them that made them become who they are. And other people just say, they will become academic about it, like it's not them who had that experience, it was somebody else, and now they're passing the message from a third person. So I don't know how to go about it. I don't know how to tell them that letting go is the most simple solution to carrying that something dark inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, in your view, you are the expert. You are a world-class thinker and philosopher, and of course, you got um, your you run the whole mastermind. So you work with the mind, and you understand the mind better than anyone. And I wonder, what is your take on letting go?
It's I said there were three categories, Marina.
Yes,
This
yes.
is the second one, really, um, and it's to do with our beliefs about other people, and uh, I'm talking about beliefs where we feel that no one can be trusted, or no one really cares, and that, in a sense, put together with who we believe we are, our identity statements, if you like, about what we believe we are and what we believe others are, then that comes together to give us a perspective of the world. And we then form beliefs about the world. So we have beliefs about ourselves, we have beliefs about others, and then we have a belief about, or beliefs about, the world. And that can really sort of range right up to, there's no safety, or there's nowhere I can hide, or and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is then what stops people from sharing experiences that they've had of pain and darkness, because they don't know how much it will be looked after, because they're carrying a belief potentially that they've learned from many years ago, that by the way now is likely to be defunct and incorrect. It was probably incorrect in the first place, but it's certainly incorrect now, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later. And they're carrying this, and in a way it narrows down the things they can talk about. And the thing about this is that in talking about it, that is where they can find the very thing they're looking for, which is freedom. So getting
Wow.
it out
So
is
you are saying that um, the message come down to you from social conditioning and education and what you've been taught by parents and school, is that if you hold something, that makes you, put you in a strong position, but in effect what makes you strong is letting go.
absolutely, yes. And I think there's a next step from that. And I think the next step, Marina, which and I know your heart is very connected to, and that is using those experiences to help other people, by sharing them, and by sharing the difficulties, and by sharing the struggles, and in letting them go, and in putting them out there like that, with the intention. And I think the word intention is very important, with the intention of helping other people know that it's okay, they can tell their story, and what they'll find as it comes out is that they'll gain a sense of freedom, and they'll gain a sense of maturing that they never thought possible. It's the most powerful thing to do, and it's something that we really wholly believe in so much, and ourselves
It's
too.
almost like the definition of abundance itself
Uh-huh.
is the process of letting go,
Yeah.
because you trade all that heaviness, you make room for what really matters. Wow. Wow.
it's it's such a powerful thing just to talk about it. Um, I remember
Hmm.
I remember sort of quite some years ago. I used to be quite a, if you like, a closed off person, and I used to describe it as, I'm a very private person, because that seemed acceptable to say.
Yes, especially in English,
Yes,
people would have that almost like a bad karma. They feel responsible for carrying their own burners, and they feel like, no matter what, I'm not going to talk about this.
yeah,
And what that does to you, is like, oh God, how can you live with that? And I just wonder if this struggle, constant struggle, instead of making you stronger, makes you really weak, and then you have to resort to other, anything
yeah,
to exit those struggles and constant challenging your own values.
yeah.
Um, Yeah, over to you, Tom. Sorry.
I, I really, I really do believe that's true, and I see this happening, and I've experienced this myself. As I said, many years ago, I used to really keep myself to myself, and I was a very private person. Yet at the same time, I was putting myself out there and lecturing and teaching and running courses and seminars. And in a sense, when you're holding all this in, what happens, and I found it through my own experience, and I've seen it happen to other people, is that you feel like you're keeping something to yourself and secret, but the problem is that everyone in front of you can see it. And if they don't quite know what it is that you're keeping, they will make up their own minds. And they will formulate their own story about you, and it could be wildly wrong. And then you say to yourself, well, why are people doing that? And the answer is in that when you let it go, people can see who you truly are underneath. And people truly underneath are beautiful. And we just hide it away. You see, it's like feelings, you can't stop feeling anger because you will stop feeling joy. You can't stop feeling sadness because you will stop yourself feeling happiness. You can't section them out like that. You got to feel 100% of everything. And it's the same in letting go. And when you do that and you really do it, and you do it meaningfully and purposefully with intention, with good intentions, then people will see who you truly are underneath, and then people will want to be around you and connect with you, because we ultimately love that. We love to be around people that, they're happy being in their own skin. Yeah.
Very powerful. So I know we have very perhaps we already ended a few minutes ago. So just before you go, what is your take on people who are saying they tried everything, and for some reason, one reason or another, they could never put their message out in the right way, and there are people judging them, and at some point they realize no point in fighting this, and they realize, you know what, it's not my business to know what other people think of me. That's their business.
Yeah. This is, I've seen this quote somewhere. It was just wonderful. What you think, what other people think of you is none of your business. I just think it's great.
Because you focus, you put all that energy trying to analyze and extra, dig and try to find out what they think, where we could put all that energy towards something really good, who others will benefit, and create results and let others benefit. And who cares what other people are saying behind your back? That's why they're left behind, because you're talking behind your back. They could never even come in front of you and explain, look, I think this of you, or whatever it is. So instead of you guessing and spending all that energy, you just move along, turn your back, and it's just one of those things when you try so hard and nothing comes out, nothing good comes out.
It's to relate it back to beliefs, Marina. I think one of the most powerful things to do is when you're letting go, you start to get more aware of other people, and you start to become more aware of that everyone has their own set of beliefs that they're carrying around with them. And that's their world, and that's their life, and that's their business. And what's important is that you mind your own business. And
I love that. Because then you deliver your own message, then you voice your own life mission, then you go into this awakening as a active participant rather than a fake one.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Marina, I saw a wonderful quote the other day. I'm seeing quotes all the time, but this one, I thought it sums up perfectly what we're talking about. And it went like this: people will love you, and people will hate you, and none of it will have anything to do with you.
I never heard it before. It was just perfect.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's so
Wow.
true. People are just carrying their own things, and the most important thing is when you mind your own business, then your message will come out and it will be authentic and it will be meaningful, and this is what grabs people.
Wow. Tom, it's been so enlightening. I don't know. I feel like I'm coming out from a dark place. I hope our listeners are enjoying this. They could. I will make the audio available so they could replay, because it's so powerful that you have to listen a couple of times to get to get to the bottom of your own struggles, and use this amazing information you provided us with. Wow, Tom. From both of us till next time, remember, people will love you, people will hate you, but it's none of your business. Last thought from you for today, Tom.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to do this and speak with your listeners and yourself, Marina. It's so dear to my heart. I'd love to be back again and speak with you soon. You know, I just thought, well, let's see what goes and what comes out today. What I'd love to do is to let it all percolate down within me and see what comes out, and let's do this again, and let's see if we can sort of help more. But thanks for today. I've really enjoyed it, and thank you for your listeners for listening. And I really hope you've gained something from my ideas and Marina's ideas. We're here to help.
Thank you so much for listening in, and thank you so much for your questions. And until next time, open your mind. From both of us, is goodbye.
Bye bye.